All right, so you guys will probably have to click yes, you accept. That'd be awesome. All right, so first of all, I want to officially say welcome, welcome, welcome to Get Your Ship Together. Louisa and I are both very excited to have you here. She is right next to me on the computer, gonna manage the chat box and that kind of thing. We plan on making this a very interactive event for each of you. Yeah, get your ship together. Hey, some of you may or may not know this, but last month, Louisa and I celebrated 28 years of marriage. Yeah, isn't that awesome? You know, and the irony to that, for those of you who don't know, Louisa and I have actually been working together our entire marriage. So yeah, thank you, Ryan. Yeah, we worked together. So it's one thing, you know, being married together brings its own set of fun. Working together brings another set of fun. So yeah, I think that's one of the beauties. You know, I know one thing I want to say, type in the chat box for me, shout out to Louisa, because I will tell you this event would not be what it is without her doing what she did to get this thing ready. So just go ahead and type in this. Shout out to Louisa. Thanks, Susan. Thank you. Yes, yes. All right. So another milestone for those of you that may or may not be aware, next February, next Thursday, February 2nd, will be my 35th anniversary of being self-employed, being a business owner. So I've been a business owner a long, long time. Back then I had a full head of hair, you know, and anyways, but I share that with you because, you know, part of why you know, a lot of times people say to me, man, Alan, you're able to talk from the heart. You're able to share in a such a unique way. Well, it's because I've been a business owner for 35 years. So a lot of what I'm sharing is from not only my experiences, but from other people's experiences as well. And just mastering the fundamentals. So I want to start by sharing with you real quick how we came up with our name, Accelerate Growth Coaching. Okay, how we came up with our name. The word accelerate, the reason why we chose that word is that success loves speed of implementation. When you grab onto an idea, you know, too many times people just think about it and hem and haw about it. And the key is speed of implementation, taking the idea and putting it into practice ASAP and blowing it up. Because there's two things that are working against us when we're business owners or we're in sales: time and money, right? Time and money. Those are the two things that are working against us. So, you know, most of you know the statistic already. 4 out of 5 business owners fail within the first 3 years. And the reason why they do is because they run out of time, which in the end, they run out of money, right? So we help people condense time and accelerate that process, which in the end also helps them make more money very, very quickly. So growth, the reason why we chose that word, you guys, growth really all starts, you know, from within. I've been on a personal growth journey my entire 35 years being a business owner. And one thing that I've learned is to work harder on myself than on anyone else. Yeah. So and I know a lot of you already probably have that same attitude, right? To work harder on yourself than anyone else. When you do that, you guys, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control. I know whenever, like when Louisa and I, there was a time in our marriage where things weren't going that great. You know, we were kind of struggling, right? And, you know, believe it or not, some people don't see this part of it, but, you know, we were actually kind of pointing the finger at each other. And here's the one thing I realized, you know what, I got to quit, you know, trying to fix Louisa, right? I needed to just fix me. I needed to fix me. And so once I grabbed onto that, you know, I realized I needed to do that, but sometimes you forget, right? So, and then of course, coaching. When I was in Little League, 10 years old, first time I was involved in sports, I was like 5'5" at 10 years old, right? And so I was this tall kid and lanky, uncoordinated. And I was on a team, you guys, that was horrible. We were the Bad News Bears. We won 0 games that year. And you know what it was? It was coaching. The very next year, I went from the minors to the majors in Little League. And the team that picked me up in the majors was two-time defending champions. And the reason why they were two-time defending champions is because their coach was amazing. And it was total difference. And I saw it firsthand. He took this 11-year-old kid, Alan, at the time, who just didn't have a whole lot of confidence and belief in himself. And he just poured into me. And of course, that year he had a star-studded lineup, and I'm just a little guy, on this team. And literally that team was full of all-stars. But someone believed in me. His name was Larry Rocha. Larry provided me direction and belief, right? And so that's what Luis and I do in our coaching. We help people give them belief, sometimes when they don't have belief in themselves. Many times when you start out, you don't have belief in yourself, right? How many would agree with that when you start out, right? Yeah, right, raise your hand. You don't have belief in yourself. You question yourself. Am I good enough? Can I do this? Who's gonna listen to me? Right? Anyone ever feel that way? Right? Oh yeah, I love it, Haley raising her hand a couple of times there. But yeah, we all feel that way sometimes. And so sometimes it takes a coach to kind of just plant the flag, to have that belief in someone before they have belief in themselves. And then of course, provide them direction. And so that's what Luis and I do. We help others have belief in themselves. We help provide them direction through that process. So what I'm going to share with you today is get your shift together, right? We're going to share 5 pillars of success to help you get more time, impact, and income, no matter what's going on in the economy, you guys. No matter what's going on in the economy, we're going to give you this, because too often what we don't want to do is we don't want to play victim and start pointing the blame at something else, because at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? So when I first started out in here in Washington, Luis and I, when we were getting married, we had a C&D, and a C&D in the insurance business, and that is called the cease and desist. And imagine, you can go ahead and check the slide off, honey. You can imagine the C&D where you're commission-only salespeople, and all of a sudden your people can't make any income, right? They can't make any income. Well, here's the thing, you guys. 3 months later, the C&D finally lifted. Now there was nothing that we did wrong as a company. There was nothing I did wrong, but there were some laws that changed. And 3 months later, we did not lose a single one of our people, even though they did not have the ability to make an income through our company. We got very creative on a couple of things. We helped them out with a couple of things, but at the end of the day, we were able to cast some vision, develop a plan, and keep them in business with us. And I share that with you because when COVID hit, you guys, we had to make a pivot. How many of you guys had to make a pivot in your business when COVID hit, right? Well, you know what? We did too in our coaching business. We had to come online like this. And so because we knew, Louisa and I knew what we had, the shifts that we've had to make in our business over the years, when COVID hit, we knew this was just another shift. We were not afraid one bit. We knew that we could make those shifts. And the irony to that, you guys, when COVID hit, our coaching business tripled over the next 3 months. And then over the next year, it actually went up 5 times. And the reason why were people were looking for direction, and then we helped them pivot. We helped them pivot. We helped them make adjustments. And so the same thing's happening right now, you guys. Some people are calling, we're coming into a recession. I do not like using that word, right? Because the problem with the word recession is that we start buying into that. Oh, there was a recession. So to me, it's just a new economy, right? Be careful of the story that you tell yourself. The key in this change with this new economy, you guys, is just to decide that you are going to be on the other side. Decide that you're going to be on top. Okay. So how many of you have ever heard of the 80-20 principle, right? Okay. 80-20, 20% of people make 80% of the money. 20% of your time generates 80% of your results. 20% of people in church do 80% of the work. 80-20 principle. Okay. Here's the thing when it comes to these new economies, like what's coming up. It will become, you guys, the 90-10 principle. Okay, the 90-10 principle. Okay, 10% of the people are going to make 90%. Okay, 10%. And it's in these times that what's going to happen is wealth is going to get created. Wealth is going to get created in recessionary times. You look back in 2008 and how many millionaires and billionaires were created because of what happened in 2008. The same thing's going to happen right now. You just have to decide that you're going to be on that other side. Okay. When I first started in the insurance business, the month of December was always a tough month. And December was always tough. And I would get people when I remember being a new agent, you know, a lot of the new other agents, oh man, December's tough. I can't make a living in December. I'm just going to take the month off. Well, the top 2 agents in my office, Jim and Jamie, they were 2 of the top 5 agents in the entire company. Okay. And I remember going to Jim and saying, Jim, what's the month of December like for you? He's like, oh, December's my best month. It's my best month, Alan. Really? Yeah. You know, in fact, you know, Jamie would say, yeah, it's my best month because people are in a buying mode. People are in a buying mode, right? And so I just decided that I was not going to play a part of, you know, the cyclical nature of other people's businesses. And I decided to make December my best month. And so I took action. And the irony to that, you guys, is that first December, I made more income in 2.5 weeks than I did any other full month of the year. And that just became a prevalent for me. And that's why I believe that, you know, when we came into COVID, we're coming into this recession, there's opportunity to do even more, but we just have to decide. We got to get our mindset right. Here's the irony. After that 3 months ended with that cease and desist with the insurance business that Louisa and I had, our team, that next year, you guys, because we didn't lose a single soul, we doubled our production and had a record year the next year. Doubled it, right? All because, you know, everyone hung in there, made a decision and worked through it. Because we all are going to face challenges. And when we face challenges, we can decide to be a victim of the challenge, or we can decide to just understand that challenges pop up and what are we going to do about it? Would you guys agree with that? If you agree with that, just type in I agree, Alan, in the chat box, right? I agree, Alan. Okay, so we are going to give you the blueprint for success today, right? And we're going to give you a ton of value, okay? Some of you have asked about our events, and maybe you might want to know more about them. So one thing I want to ask for permission up front is, are you okay at the end if I share with you guys a couple of different things that are happening for those of you who might want to take advantage of those? Are you guys okay with that? And if you are, just say yes in the chat box. That'd be great. Okay. So the other thing is, at the end, you guys, I am going to, we're going to give, Louisa and I have a giveaway for you for everyone here that hangs in to the end. And we'll show you how that works, just for showing up today and finishing this 2-hour course, okay? 2-hour training, all right? So one thing to kind of set some, I guess, intention up front, here's one thing I really want you to be careful of, okay? Because some of the things that I'm going to share might be new. Some of the things that I'm going to share you might have heard already. But what I want you to really be careful of is to really be careful with that internal dialogue of saying, I've heard that before, okay? Because if you say that in your head, well, I've heard that before, what does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Go ahead and type that in the chat box when someone says, I've heard that before, you know? What does that mean, right? Yeah, they zone out, right? They shut down, it discredits the info, right? It means you stop listening, exactly. Right, that it might not work, or yeah, and so, or that maybe we've arrived, right? We've arrived, and okay, I've heard that before. Okay, so here's the thing that I want to encourage you to think about on a little different angle. The other day, I was talking to Dan Allred, and I was sharing with him some thoughts, and Dan, and it's not a thought I just thought I've shared with him a ton of times, but here's what he said to me. He said, Alan, I needed to hear that again. I needed to hear that again. Okay. And so, so that's what I want you guys to say when there's something, a piece of content that I might share that you might have heard, just say, you know what, I needed to hear that again. Because here's the thing, it's one thing to hear it, it's totally different. Are you implementing it? And are you implementing it to the best of your ability? And that's the difference between those that are average, you say, I've heard it before, to those that are elite that, go back and do the repetition and consistency, and they need to hear it again. Okay. So, anyways, as you guys can tell already, this is going to be an involvement exercise. I'm going to have you type in the chat box and things like that. So the other thing is, for those of you who already have a notepad to take notes, kudos to you. For those of you who don't, I want to encourage you to grab a notepad, because you do not want to leave what I'm sharing with you to your memory. Like, you don't want to walk away from this and go, dang, what was that he said, right? You're going to be more likely to remember what I'm sharing if you write it down, so that you can go back and implement it. Okay. All right, who's in with me on that, right? Type in I'm in the chat box, or I'm all in the chat box, all right? Because here's the other thing. I love it, I love it. All right, how you do anything is how you do, anyone? Everything. How you do anything is how you do everything, okay? So, I share a lot of stories, you guys, and part of why I do that is hopefully that you can relate to whatever story that I'm sharing with you, and how you might be able to apply it in your life and in your business. But for those of you who don't know, my dad, he'd be like 103 if he were still alive today. But my dad was interned during World War II. He's put in an internment camp, and he's one of 110,000 Japanese Americans put in the camp. And he, 2 years, and at 21 years of age, okay, his mom and dad, they lost everything. They lost their home and their business. They lost everything. And so the interesting thing is that he decided that he was not going to be a victim. He decided to sign up for the U.S. Army. Okay, signs up for the Army. He goes, his last tour took him to Japan. He met my mom. They got married. They realized they couldn't have kids. They walked into a Japanese orphanage and picked me out of there. Okay. And so the irony to that, at the time I was 8 months old, literally fit in the crook of my dad's arm. And he's like, you're the one, right? Here's what I want you to take away from this, right? Had my dad not been put in an internment camp, he would not have been in Japan. And then if he wouldn't have been in Japan, I wouldn't be here, you guys, talking to you, right? So he was able to take something and make it a positive, and the other thing that was a takeaway from that, guess what, you guys? He passed to his son a very abundant mindset, right? He could have easily gone a different direction and had a very, victim mindset, right? Oh man, the government owes me, the US owes me. But no, he didn't do that. He didn't take that victim mindset. He took an abundant mindset and said, you know what? I'm thankful for being here in the US. I've got an opportunity. And so the thing that he drilled down to me, not only having an abundant mindset versus a victim mindset, but he always said this to me, Alan, your success is your responsibility. So my success is my responsibility, right? So I want you to type that in the chat box. You got, my success is my responsibility, all right? Type that in the chat. And for those of you, you don't have to turn your, your speakers on or anything like that, but just say it with me, okay? Say it with me. My success is my responsibility. Okay, say it one more time. My success is my responsibility. Okay, yeah, it is. No matter what, my success is my responsibility. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Your success is your responsibility.
My success is my responsibility.
Yes. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. So, for just 1 second, I want you to answer this question for me, or think about this. Don't think about a pink elephant. Okay. For one, don't think about a pink elephant. Now, guess what? In order to not think about a pink elephant, we have to actually process the positive first. We have to actually think of the pink elephant and then go, okay, I'm not going to think about that anymore. Here's my point. You guys, the unconscious mind cannot process a negative. The unconscious mind cannot process a negative. So a lot of the things that we tell ourselves, we are actually telling ourselves to do it when we don't want to. For instance, when we tell our kids, hey, don't run, guess what they hear? Run. Hey, don't talk. Guess what they hear? Talk, right? So instead of saying don't run, say, you know what? Could you walk, please? Or instead of saying don't talk, hey, can you be quiet? Or hey, can you tone your voice down? Tell them what you want, not what you don't. And that's not only important when you're talking to people, but that's also important when you're talking to yourself, right? Our self-talk, that's so big. Many times we focus on what we don't want in our self-talk. Oh, Alan, I struggle with tech, or I'm not good at time management, right? Guess what? We keep telling ourselves that. Guess what? We're not going to be good at what it is we're telling us. So the unconscious mind is 90% of what we think. 90%, okay? The conscious mind is only 10% of what we think, okay? So think of this iceberg here, right? You got the conscious mind at the top, the unconscious mind at the bottom. The unconscious mind, you guys, can process up to 11 million bits per second, whereas the conscious mind can only process about 140 bits per second, less than 200 bits per second. So think of this for 1 second, right? Think of your computer that you're on right now. The computer, the hard drive is your unconscious mind. And then the tabs that are across the top of your computer, that is your conscious mind. And so you can only have so many tabs at the top, right? But the unconscious mind, stores a ton, right? So let me give you an example. If you were to drive a new car, right? If you drove a new car, how many of you have ever bought a new car or a new to you car? Anyone? Go ahead and raise your hand, right? Quite a few of you, okay. So imagine when you drive that car, just remember, what did you start seeing when you started driving that new car? And as you're going from one place to the next, what do you start seeing? Type that in the chat box. What do you start seeing, right? Chances are you guys are seeing your car. Like, honey, there's our car. I remember in 2002, the brand new Mercedes SL 500 came out. And that was my wife's dream car. And it's the year that the retractable hardtop would go into the trunk, right? First year that Mercedes did that. And we ended up buying that for her, right? So that wasn't a very popular car at that particular point, right? Because of the price point and it was new. But here's the irony to that. As we were out and about driving, guess what we started seeing? Her car. Now, here's the thing, you guys. When you're driving that car, why are you seeing it now? Why are you seeing it now? Right? Why are you seeing it now? It was in front of you before, but now you're driving around, right? Now you're driving it around, okay? And now you're seeing it, and before you didn't. And here's why. So there's a term, some of you may or may not know this term, it's called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system, it takes from your unconscious to your conscious. Your unconscious to your conscious, the reticular activating system. So what it says, remember, unconscious can process millions of bits per second. So it's out there and you saw it before, but the awareness wasn't there yet. So all the reticular activating system does, it makes you now aware, like, hey, this is important. Let's put this on the tabs of your computer and have you be aware of it. Does that make sense? And now that you're aware of it, guess what? You're gonna see it more. You're gonna take action more. You're gonna do things more now that you're aware. Okay. And so the biggest key to lasting change, you guys, the biggest key, if you want to change something in your life, the biggest key is to change your identity first. Okay. Change your identity first. Most people want to change behavior. Okay, so you look at your conscious mind, that's your behaviors. Your unconscious mind, that's your identity, that's your beliefs, that's your thoughts, that's your emotions. And when you focus on behavior change, your emotions, your thoughts, your identity, they get in the way. Your feelings get in the way. Does that make sense? They get in the way. So let me give you an example, okay? Let's say, for instance, someone were to ask me, hey, Alan, would you like to smoke a cigarette? Would you like to smoke a cigarette? Go ahead and turn that video on. And I would say, no, I don't smoke. right? No, I don't smoke, because I'm a non-smoker. But you could ask someone else the same question. Hey, would you like a cigarette? And they would answer, no, I'm trying to quit. The difference is the person who's trying to quit, what do they still identify as? They still identify as a smoker who's trying to quit. And when they don't feel like, quitting, when, tough going gets tough and their emotions are like at a low, guess what do you think they want to do? They want to smoke a cigarette, right? Or for those people that, want to get healthy, right? And maybe you need to lose a little weight, right? And so, you know what? And one day you just don't feel like it. And so you have that food that you really shouldn't have because your emotions are getting in the way, your feelings, right? But if you're that person who just says, you know what? I don't do dessert. I just don't eat dessert. Guess what? It doesn't matter what someone puts in front of you and how you're feeling, you're not going to have dessert. Just like me, you know what? I'm not a smoker, so it doesn't matter how I'm feeling, I am not going to have a cigarette. Does that make sense, you guys? So the key to lasting change is to change your behavior, or excuse me, change your identity first, okay? So here's what I want you to take away from this. Who do you need to be? Who do you need to become to be the better leader, to be the better husband, father, boyfriend, significant other, girlfriend, right? Who do you need to be? Who do you need to become? Because at the end of the day, you guys, we are the story that we tell ourselves. So when I ask someone, hey, what do you want? And they tell me, and then I ask them, okay, well, why don't you have it? A story pops up. Well, Alan, I don't have it because I'm too old, or I'm too young, or because of the economy, because there's a recession going on, because COVID, right? I don't have it because, and that's a story that we tell ourselves. Whereas, you know what? If it doesn't matter and your belief and your identity is, you know what, in spite of whatever happens, I'm going to be successful. That's who I am. Then guess what? You're going to do whatever it takes to have success. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay. So that's really the first pillar, right? The first pillar of success is getting the mindset right. Getting ourselves in the right mindset, right? So there's 4 levels of consciousness, you guys. 4 levels. Level number 1, the unconscious incompetent. The unconscious incompetent doesn't know that they don't know. So some of you might be in that space right now when it comes to, mindset and personal growth. Like you didn't know that you didn't know. Some of the stuff that I shared with you today, you might not have ever heard before. For those of you, you're in that unconscious incompetent mindset. You didn't know that you didn't know. Okay. But then the next level, for those of you who know, some of you are now figured it out. Guess what? You're now the conscious incompetent. You now know that you don't know. You went from I didn't know that I didn't know to now I know that I don't know. And that's where the magic happens, you guys, right? Has anyone ever been there, like didn't know that you didn't know, right? I think all of us, whatever it is, we've been there to some degree, right? Well, now we know that we don't know. So now we get to choose to do something about it. Once we go from that level, the next level is the conscious competent. Now the conscious competent is now working towards, mastery. That's the conscious competent. That's a great place to be when you're at that level. Conscious competent, you're working towards mastery, right? Here's the key to mastery, you guys. The key to mastery is repetition and consistency. Pros master the mundane. If you want to get to that last level of the 4th level, the unconscious competent that just does it like they're not even thinking, right? When it comes to mindset, that's the unconscious competent. Like they don't have to think about it, right? When someone throws them something, they don't get triggered by it. It's just no big deal. It slips right off them because they're that unconscious competent, okay? Pros master the mundane. That goes back to something I said earlier. It's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to do it and implement it. And the biggest difference between average and elite, you guys, average people say things like, been there, done that. Elite people, they go back to basics every single year minimum. And if you know of anyone that's ever gotten in a slump, Like if you, I don't, any of you played any sports before, whether it's, football, basketball, like if I got in a slump, yeah, somebody raise your hand. If you played any sports before, right? So if you get in a slump, what do? Like if you're in a shooting slump, you go back and you master the basics, right? You go back to the fundamentals. Pros do it every year, at least every year, right? And they do it many times on a weekly basis. Average people don't do that. So that's the thing that I want you to think about, you guys. Master the mundane, get into repetition consistency, do it over and over and over and over again, okay? So, so changing beliefs is, and habits requires repetition and consistency. It's not a one and done thing. Just because you know what I'm telling you right now isn't going to change it. It's a matter of doing it over and over and over again. So I don't know, is Kristen on? Kristen Cobb on? Okay. All right. If Kristen's on, go ahead and raise your hand, Kristen. Yeah, if you're on here. Okay. Do you see her on here?
The reactions, have her put her hand up in the
Okay,
reactions.
yep. In the reactions, yeah, put your hand up, Kristen, if you're on here. All right. Maybe she's not on. Okay. So our next, important thing to ask. So pillar number 1, mindset. Pillar number 2, vision. Vision. We've got to get clear on our vision. Okay. We got to get clear on a vision. So ask yourself this question. What do you want? What's your vision for the next 2 to 3 years? Okay. So here's what I'd love for you to do. Go ahead and just type in the chat box, you guys. Go ahead and just type in the chat box. What do you want? What are a couple goals that you want? Maybe a personal goal or a professional goal or both here in the next 2 or 3 years. Go ahead and type that in the chat box. I'd love for you guys to share that with us. Yeah. Okay. What's a goal that you might have here in the next 2 to 3 years? Okay. Be successful, build a team, be more consistent. Okay. So here's where train support staff. Okay, cool. Did I just see Kristen on there? All right. Okay. All right. So what do you want? Now, here's the thing, you guys, when it comes to your vision, if your vision doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough. I love it, Jill. 1 million consistent revenue within 3 years and a bigger team. Yeah, that's a big vision. I love it. What's your big vision? What do you want for yourself? It's got to be big. Okay. Don't play small, you guys. Other people are relying on you to play big. So what's that vision? If your vision doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough. Okay. So, if you need some help with that, we'll give you an opportunity to get some clarity on that. But that's so important. Vision's got to be big. Here's the thing, you guys. Your plan has to be smart. Your plan has to be smart. So vision's meant to be big. Plan's got to be smart. Okay. So how many of you, if you were to go to a new area that you've never been to, a new town, and you wanted to go from point A to point B, how many of you would pull up your GPS and type in the destination? Raise your hand, right? Okay, we type, I think every one of us, right? If we're going to a new town and we've never been there before, we type in the destination. And so for those of you who have not ever been to the Seattle area, right? And if you live down in Olympia, like where we're at, and you were to drive from Olympia to Seattle and you've never been there before, you type in, let's say you wanted to go to a Seahawk game, right? You type in Lumen Field, give you directions to get there from point A to point B, right? Make sense? GPS, okay? Well, what does the GPS do, you guys? The GPS gives you a direction, right? It gives you a plan. And not only does it give you a direction and a plan, but it chunks it down. Hey, go 10 miles here. And then from there, take a left on this street and then go 10 miles there, right? It gives you a direction. And here's the other thing your GPS does. What if there's an accident on I-5 going from Olympia to Seattle, right? Guess what it does? It redirects you. It redirects you. Here's the thing about your plan, you guys. So big vision, smart plan. By being able to chunk it down, you can anticipate, okay, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. It's your GPS. And it helps give your vision certainty because you've got a plan to complete it. We overestimate, you guys, what we can do in the short haul, underestimate what we can do in the long haul. Would you guys agree with me on that one? Overestimate the short haul, underestimate the long haul. So let me give you an example. How many of you ever said, oh my gosh, this week just flew by. Oh man, I didn't get anything done today, right? Right? How many of you? Okay, yeah. We shove all types of stuff on our plate in a day, in a week, and we're like, oh my gosh, I just didn't get it all done. Where did this week go? That's because we put way too much on our plate and it wasn't realistic. So the key to your plan, right? How many of you ever heard the term SMART goals? SMART goals, right? SMART stands for, you can Google it. SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, relative, and time sensitive. Okay. Yeah, it is a big issue for a lot of people, Bonnie, you know, and that's the key, right? Chunking it down. So like, for instance, one of my workout goals, you guys, for me is I'm not a bodybuilder or anything like that. So, but I want to stay healthy. So one of my workout goals is to work out 2 times a week or more. So it's not a lot, 2 times a week or more, but that's not a goal. That's a commitment to me. That's what I'm doing every single week. Okay. All right. So that's why that helps us get a clear direction. And by developing that SMART plan, okay, it gives us because here's the thing, you guys, your unconscious mind, you've got to give it clear, specific directions. Otherwise, if it's too vague, your unconscious mind won't be convinced that that's what you want to do. Okay. It won't be convinced. It only takes 1% doubt to equal 100% uncertainty. 1% doubt. It's not 1% doubt, 99% certainty. It's 1% doubt, 100% certainty. Because if there can't be 99% certainty, it's either certain or it's not. Does that make sense? It's either certain or it's not. And so that's the key, right? You've got to have total certainty in what it is that you want to do. And so that's why we want to develop that SMART plan. Okay. So one of the things that Louisa does, you guys, for those of you who don't know, she is a master practitioner and she's working on her trainer certification for NLP. And so if you are stuck with your mindset or you're stuck in life, procrastination, anxiety, limiting beliefs, stress, she can help with that, right? And so just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. In fact, anything that might be she'll help you break the chains. She'll help you overcome whatever it is that's holding you back. So just recently, she's helped 3 people in the last 3 months who were actually on the verge of suicide, right? They were at a stuck point. So if you know of anyone that's in that position, you guys, have them reach out to Louisa. Yeah, it's amazing the type of work that she does. So I want to share, when I first got into the insurance business, you guys, 35 years ago, I was 24 years old. Here's what really changed everything for me. Okay. I figured out why I got into the insurance business in the first place. So my purpose, you guys, was I wanted to be the best husband, the best dad. Now, at the time, I wasn't married. At the time, I had no kids when I first started the insurance business, but I wanted to be the best husband, father that I could be. And so what the insurance business did for me, you guys, is it was the vehicle that I needed to help me go to get there. And so when I first started the insurance business, guys, I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. And the insurance agency was the vehicle. I figured by teaching and coaching, I would have my summers off and I had my winters off. I could be there for my family. That was the reason why I decided I wanted to, do the insurance business, because I wasn't going to make a lot of money as a teacher and coach, back then, 35 years ago. And I thought, you know what, the insurance agency is going to be my vehicle so that I could live the life that I want to live. So each one of you, whatever it is that you're doing, that's your vehicle. But what's your purpose? What's the real reason why you're doing what you're doing so that the vehicle can get you to that purpose? Okay. And again, for me, it was to be the best husband, the best dad to my future wife and to my future family that I didn't have. And so every time I was struggling with something, I just reminded myself, Alan, the reason why you got, made 500 phone calls this week is because you want to be a teacher and a coach. You want to be the best husband and dad for your future family. And that drove me every single day to deal with the rejection, deal with the challenges, right? Right. I know some of you can identify with me on that one, right? You're doing what you're doing for a purpose. So if you don't have one, you guys, figure it out real quick. And here's the thing about your purpose. Okay. Here's a couple questions you can ask yourself to figure out what your purpose is. Question one is, what's the impact to you, your family, your employees, if you have a team, and your team? What's the impact positively to those people by you crushing it? By your company going to that next level? What's the impact? And so answer that question to yourself. That will help you figure out your purpose. What's the negative impact? That's another question to ask yourself. What's the negative impact if I don't do what I got to do here? Like I remember one time, there was a time, after I left the insurance business, I was trying to figure out what to do. And I remember thinking to my wife, I remember Louisa goes, well, maybe you should just go get a job. I'm like, I'm not getting a job. Are you kidding me? I'm going to figure this out, right? I'm going to figure this out because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, that doesn't get me closer to my purpose of being the best husband and father and that I need to be. So guess what? Even though there was times where I felt like, man, what do I got to do? I buckled down because of that purpose. Okay. Here's the other thing to think about, you guys. It's not always about you. A lot of times when I coach people, I hear things like, well, Alan, I'm not motivated by the money. I'm not motivated by the money. You're not? Really? You're not motivated by the money? Or is that a money limiting belief that you're putting on to yourself? And is that a story that you're telling yourself that you're not motivated by the money? Right? Because here's the thing. If your best friend was, gonna die due to something, and they needed $1 million to survive, to get the help that they needed, would you be motivated by money? Like, yeah, but it's not the money, it's what the money could do, right? So that's the thing. It's not about you. Like, what about the example you're setting for your kids? What about your teammates, that are relying on you to take it to another level, and we're getting comfortable with whatever it is we're doing, but you know what? They haven't gotten there yet. How about bringing them along with you? Does that make sense? So it's not always about you. So here's the thing about your purpose, you guys. It's got to be so strong that it brings you to tears. It's got to be so strong that if you really think about it, that it's emotional. Like, I remember working with Haley a few years back, and man, that was a thing. Like, you could see it in her voice, like, and hear it in her voice, like the emotional, it was strong, right? Anyways, so your purpose has gotta be so strong that you get emotional about it. And if you need some help with that, again, that's something that we can help you with. All right. All right. So my dad used to say, man, I can tell the kind of person you are by the friends you hang around. He used to say that to me when I was a kid, right? And so here's the thing that I've found, you guys. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around most, right? Would you guys agree with that? Average of the 5 people hang around. So if you want good health, like, you hang around healthy people. That was one of the reasons why I loved hanging around Sarah Younger, man. She's like so healthy and does all these good things. Like, I wanted to be around that. Like, that's so you want a healthy lifestyle, hang around healthy people. If you want good marriage, hang around other couples that have good marriages. If you want good relationships, hang around people that have good relationships, right? So we have a community, you guys, and for those of you who are on Facebook, I want to encourage you to consider joining us in this group. You can just go to accelerategrowthcommunity.com. It's free. type, just join the group and become a part of our community. Because here's the thing that I love about our community. All of us in that group, we're all wanting to get healthy. We're all wanting to get better relationships. We're all wanting to develop ourselves with our businesses. Because at the end of the day, we're all just wanting to get better, right? For those of you who do CrossFit, right? The first thing I think about with CrossFit is community. Community, right? When everyone gets into there, why do they do what they do? Because of their community. They paid a monthly amount of money and they love doing it because of community. Okay. So join us in our community, accelerategrowthcommunity.com. That is our coaching community. You don't have to be a coaching client to be a part of it, but I want to encourage you to join us there because we post things in there. We post our goals, things like that, and you'll get words of encouragement from other people. Okay. So 6 months after I started the insurance business, you guys, I ended up going to a 3-day boot camp. I borrowed $2,500 of money that I didn't have to go to this boot camp. 6 months. Now, here's the interesting part. I was getting mentorship with Jim and Jamie. Jim was the number 2 agent in the company. Jamie was number 5 in the company in my little office of 10 in San Jose, California. And at the time, nationally, there was 500 agents. They were number 2 and number 5 respectively, and they poured into me. 6 months after I started, though, I realized I wanted to pedal to the metal. And so I ended up borrowing $2,500 of money that I didn't have to go to a 3-day boot camp in Scottsdale, Arizona. And here's the irony to that, you guys. What I learned to do was I learned to work on myself and on my business. Okay, on myself and on my business. Too many times people are working, in their business, but not on their business. And so I learned to do that. And so 3 years later, you guys, 3 years later, I had actually bought that insurance agency that Jim and Jamie were working at. Okay, I'm 27 years old. All the guys in the office, you guys, were 40, 50, 60, double my age, right? And here I am now, the owner of the agency. And I don't share that to brag, you guys, but I share that because I know this. I would have never been able to do that had I not gotten that training. If I only got training inside the business from those people, it would have taken me to a certain point. But to make me elite, to get me to that level where these other people that had way more experience than I ever had would want to follow me, I needed to grow my lid. Okay. And so, how many have ever heard the law of the lid, you guys? The law of the lid? Okay. Law of the lid. If you haven't heard of that, there's a good book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I want to encourage you to get that book. Okay. Law number 1, law of the lid. What it says is, law of the lid, it says that you are the lid to your personal and business growth. You can only grow to the lid that you have on yourself. Okay. So in a numeric sense, if 10 was an elite leader and 1 was not, and 5 was kind of in the middle, the book was 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Could someone type that in the chat box for me, please? 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Okay. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Okay. But on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is the ultimate leader, 5 is average, and 1 is not, if someone were a 5 on the leadership level, you guys, they can only recruit, train, and build an organization up to a 4 because a 10 will never follow a 5. A 10 will never follow a 5. You can only grow to a certain lid. When it comes to sales, a 10 is probably not going to buy from a 5, especially if they're on the fence. They're going to look at that ability. Okay. So the key to scaling is we each have to get to that 10 level. Not everyone can, but those that can get to that 10 level, 10 attract other 10s. And then when you attract other 10s, that's how you scale. Okay. When you attract other 10s. Yeah. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. All right. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. But yeah. Okay. So we got to get ourselves to that level, that 10 level. Because if you want to be elite, you guys, you've got to get mentorship outside of your business. You have to. We all have blind spots. Louisa and I currently have, we work with 3 coaches, right? Think about an elite athlete. You know, if you're an average athlete, you know, you probably don't have your own coaches, but if you're elite, like imagine an elite quarterback or an elite football player. They not only have coaches that on their team, they're football coaches, but they've got a mindset coach. They got a personal trainer. They might even have their own position coach. They might have, you know, all these stable of people that they add to their team, right? But you know what? In order to get there, that's why they do that. They want to be elite. So just start with one and keep adding. If all you can do right now is the coaching within your business, fine, but find resources to get coaching or help outside your business. And then at some particular point, I want to encourage you to invest in yourself. Okay. And because at the end of the day, you know, like I mentioned earlier, work harder on yourself than anything else. When you invest in yourself, you guys, you're going to treat it differently. You're going to look at it a lot differently when you're, you know, putting it out there every month. You're going to show up differently when you invest in yourself. See, some people look at it as an expense. Yeah, it's an expense. But you know what? If we look at it as an expense, it's a scarcity mindset. Again, think about an elite athlete. Like they don't work for anyone else. They work for themselves, even though they're a part of a team, right? They don't just rely on the team to provide their resources, right? And an elite athlete, they want to be elite. They invest in themselves. Okay. So they have that abundant mindset. That's what I want to encourage each of you to do. Have an abundant mindset. Because at the end of the day, you guys, we're going to pay one way or another. We're either going to pay through time and it's going to take us forever. And then if it takes us forever, you know, maybe that's the reason why we fail, because we ran out of time, which we run out of money, or we can condense that, right? And accelerate our learning curve. And so, so here's what I want you to say, you guys, right? You are your best investment, right? Would everyone agree you're your best investment? Yeah, that's one thing that I want you to remember. So type in the chat box, I am my best investment. And then I want you to say it with me. I am my best investment. I'd say it one more time. I am my best investment. Okay. Type that in the chat box. Okay. So just remember, you guys, you know, when you're adding things in to your team, it's not subtracting or eliminating, right? You know, again, I would not have ever bought that insurance agency without having that mentorship to work on myself and on my business. And so that's the fifth pillar, you guys, is mentorship, right? Most people only get it from within their business, but to be elite, we've got to get mentorship outside our business. We all have those blind spots. So share with you a couple quick stories. You'll see some testimonials there of some mentorship that we've provided. But Angela and Garrett Willie, you know, here's the thing about Angela and Garrett. They own a roofing company. About a little over 3 years ago, they started working, maybe 4 years ago, they started working with Louisa and I. And here's the thing. Since that time, they not only have worked with Louisa, they worked with me. They still continue to work with us. They've added, on top of Louisa and I, they've added coaching within their roofing business. So they got a roofing specific coaching. They also have another coach that provides kind of general service business coaching, right? And so they're continually adding that to their portfolio. Matt and Dan Allred, they're a part of Allred Heating and Cooling. Same thing, right? About 2 years ago, they hired me to help them with coaching, and they had just done $3 million the previous year. And then during that year, they're on pace to do $6 million. You guys, this year, they did $15 million, right? And here's the thing. They've got me as their coach. They've got an HVAC specific coach. They've got also they're adding to their team. They're not replacing one for the other. It's kind of like you wouldn't replace a nutritionist with a mindset coach or a personal trainer, right? You add those people in. And so that's what they did. They went from 3 million to 6 million to 15 million. Here's Carolyn, you know, I go in once a month to help her team and coach them in that. And the fun part about doing that with them, you guys, is when we first started, they were in a little bit of disarray. There was a little bickering going on. But one of the things that you'll notice what Carolyn says, you know, she thanks us for pouring into her, but she says, you know, Alan, you have this great way of telling us what to do without telling us what to do. right? And so that's one of the keys as a leader, is to be able to help people in that manner. Stephanie gave us a nice testimonial here, same type of thing. I help her as a mentor, but also with her team, every couple of months, come in and give them that kind of stuff, right? So, and then Haley, who's on the call today, right? Haley, about 3 years ago, she came in as a boss mom, but didn't really quite know it then, and she kind of shares a little bit there about what we were able to do to kind of help her out. So, those are the 5 pillars, you guys. Go ahead and flip the slide. Those are the 5 pillars. And if you don't mind, I want to just share a couple of opportunities. Are you guys okay with that? And again, if you're okay with me just sharing a couple of opportunities, that just type in the word okay in the chat box. Okay. All right. Love it. Okay. So here's a couple things. We have a mastermind. Our masterminds work on strategy, and we work on all 5 pillars, right? We work on mindset, vision, purpose, community, and we provide mentorship in those masterminds. We have one coming up next week on Thursday and Friday here in San Diego. So I believe we have 2 spots left. So if any of you are interested in that, just reach out to Louisa and I. Otherwise, for those that can't make it to San Diego, we have a mastermind on May 4th and 5th in DuPont. Our masterminds are smaller. We have typically about 25 people in our mastermind on average. And one of the things about what we do in the mastermind, you guys, is we do the work in the meeting. So a lot of events you come to, you get motivated, you get excited, you walk away, but you don't have any implementation. And so in our mastermind, we have people do the implementation, and we break people up into groups. So you'll be around other like-minded folks in a group, and you'll share and get feedback. You'll share your vision, you share your challenges, you'll share whatever it is that you want to share in your group, you'll get feedback. Also, every topic that we discuss, we share the topic to the group, we break people up into groups, and then have a discussion. It's very, very interactive that way. So if you want to know more about our mastermind, you can just go to sevenfigurebusinessmastermind.com and sevenfiguremastermind.com, and you can register, and you can use the code earlybird. Okay, you can use the code earlybird to get registered. All right, and that would save you $100. Okay, for those of you that want to register. Okay. All right, Bonnie. Bonnie says, I'm coming with Stephanie to the next one. That's awesome, Bonnie. Looking forward to meeting you and having you be a part of it. Okay, so that's our mastermind. That's more, like I said, external. One of the things that we do to work from the inside out, we have another event called Accelerate Abundance, and this event works from the inside out. This is really, truly a personal growth, kind of a mindset, kind of an event. And you can see some of the testimonials there. JD, who's on the call, gave us a nice testimonial there. Then, of course, Dan gave us one too. And man, you should have seen Amanda when she came away from that event, just so fired up, And then Madoli here gave us another nice testimonial. Part of why Madoli and her husband came to that. So Madoli's son was one of the folks that was thinking about, suicide, and Madoli connected her son to Louisa and said, hey, can you help him? And she said, if he wants to be helped, I can help. And within just one session, you guys, she was able to flip him, okay, and get him completely turned around. Within 2 sessions, he was setting goals, and you know what? He's been a different kid ever since. In fact, I remember after that first session, Madoli tells me, Alan, you just wouldn't believe what's going on. The teachers are like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And so Louisa has had the opportunity to really help a lot of folks, overcome that type of stuff. So, but that's why they came to this event, you guys. Madoli and her husband, Dale, came to this event because of what they saw their son go through. And literally, you can see in Madoli's testimonial there, like Dale sat there the first couple of days, you guys, arms crossed, didn't say a word. And by that third day, you couldn't get him to be quiet. And he shows up today as a father and as a husband, a totally different man, because he came to that event. So that's our Accelerate Abundance. Again, go to agcabundance.com for more information. Again, you could use the code early bird. Okay, so who'd like to take it to another level? Who wants to take it to the next level, right? I think all of us do. Yeah, go ahead and raise your hand if you want to take it to the next level. So here's an opportunity, you guys, that you could take advantage of to take it to the next level. We have a masterclass coming up. It's called Accelerate Your Growth Masterclass. It's a 7-week class that'll help change. Oh, you know what? Let me back up here. So 5 pillars of success. So I just kind of want to put it all together, right? Here's the 5 pillars: the mindset, the vision, the purpose, the community, the mentorship. Okay, 5 pillars that we just covered. Any one thing by itself will help, but it's all 5 together that makes a difference, you guys, right? Mindset by itself doesn't work, but you got to have vision, and then you got to have a purpose, and then have a community, and then of course having mentorship. When you have all 5 in your back pocket, you're operating like a well-oiled machine. Okay, so yeah, all right. If there's any questions or anything, you guys, go ahead and type those in the chat box so that we can answer them at the end. Cool. Is Stephanie still on? Stephanie, if you wouldn't mind coming on right now. Yeah, if you could raise your hand. I'd love for you to share a quick second about how the 5 pillars, if you're still on here. Or unmute yourself. Okay. All right. Well, if Stephanie's not on, that's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and so rise up to be the change. Start 2023 on fire. Our Accelerate Your Growth Masterclass. It's 7 weeks to change your habits, how you think. And so here's what we're going to discuss in the masterclass. Okay, we'll share a mindset visualization technique to help you live in a peak performance state. We're going to share with you a money mastery framework to help you shift your beliefs to more abundant thoughts. And then, of course, provide a community and accountability. And then take your vision and chunk it down into that personal profit plan. Okay, so taking action is going to be easy when you have a roadmap to follow, you guys. So 7 Zoom webinars, they're 45 to 60 minutes each. It'll be interactive experience. There'll be community. We're going to help you take your life and business to the next level. And then hands-on coaching, and all the calls will be recorded for those people who are participating. Okay. And so what you're going to experience from our Accelerate Your Growth Masterclass is to get clear on your vision and, ultimately help you with more impact, influence, and income. We're going to help you increase your sales, accelerate your success, provide that community, and more importantly, you guys, get you into action. Couple of bonuses that we have for those people who decide they want to join us in that. We have an Accelerate Growth Summit, which is going to be a 1-day virtual event. So all of this masterclass, Accelerate Your Growth Masterclass, is virtual. It'll be done on Zoom. It'll be 7 courses done over 7 weeks. As a bonus, we have a Accelerate Growth Summit, which will be a 1-day event. That summit, you guys, is a $1,500 value. Okay. And that'll be held in March. And then we also have another bonus, a 45-minute vision strategy session, a call with myself. That 45-minute vision strategy call will help with, again, implementation. That's a $750 value. And the masterclass itself is a $2,500 value. We've charged up to $2,500 to deliver this content. And so total value for those 3 things is $4,750. Your investment is $297. In fact, if you're an action taker and you use the code SHIFT for the first 10 people that sign up today, it's 197. And so all you got to do is go to Accelerate Growth MC, which stands for Masterclass, accelerategrowthmc.com to register. And you can get that. In fact, here's one other caveat, you guys. If you sign up for either the mastermind or you sign up for the if you sign up for abundance, one of those two things, today we will include this masterclass as part of it. So now you're getting abundance or the mastermind and this. So that's an extra bonus if you sign up for one of those places. So you can go to accelerategrowthmc.com for the masterclass. If you want to do the mastermind, sevenfigurebusinessmastermind.com. You automatically will get this if you want it as a bonus. Same thing with abundance, but that would need to be done today so we know who wants the bonuses. Okay. All right. So that's that. And by itself, you guys, any one of these three things, yes, those are virtual. So the Accelerate Growth Summit is virtual. The strategy call and the masterclass are virtual. The abundance event is in person in DuPont, Washington on June 22nd to 24th. The masterminds are all in person. They will be the next one in next week here in San Diego, February 2nd and 3rd, and then the one on May 4th and 5th in DuPont. Those are in person, okay? Whereas these here are all virtual. All right, thanks for the clarification. The mastermind link is sevenfigurebusinessmastermind.com. Can you type that in the chat box for Penny? The number 7figurebusinessmastermind.com. Okay. All right. So the again, the $100 savings is for today only. First 10 people to use it. All right, last slide. There we go. Thanks, Louisa. All right. So here's our last slide, you guys. So here's our bonus for you guys. Okay. Our bonus is this for staying all the way to the end. Okay. We're going to give you a complimentary strategy session with Louisa. Okay. It's for today only. It's first come, first serve. Her schedule is very tight and limited, but you would go to coachlouisa.com, www.coachlouisa.com, COACHLOUISA.com. A complimentary call as a gift and
To schedule.
to schedule. Yep. Yep. So Aaron signed up. Awesome, Aaron. Way to go, way to go. If anyone has signed up for any one of our events, feel free to type that in the chat box. I'd love to hear that you're taking advantage of one of those events. Here's the other thing too, you guys. If for anyone that does sign up for the masterclass, if you end up deciding to coach with us at some point here, we will take that masterclass as a deposit towards our coaching. Okay. So if you are interested in coaching, just bring it up with Louisa on your call with her. If you're not, no big deal. We just want to bless you with an opportunity and help you take this information that you've got today and put it into action, right? Because nothing works without putting it into action. Okay. So we actually have one more slide. And so overall, these are some of the areas that we help people with. One-on-one coaching, group coaching. We do workshops for corporate companies. We do seminars. We have our masterminds, our personal breakthrough events, and our corporate training. So if you know of anyone that could benefit from any of these, you guys, we would love a referral or a recommendation. And so that's partially why we do this. We do this as a give, and hopefully if you saw value in this, that you might be able to refer us to somebody else. Okay. All right. Go ahead and just turn that off, honey. Hey, if you saw value in what you learned today, I'd love for you to just type in the chat box, I saw value, and put that in the chat box. All right. I love it. So here's something else I want you to do too. So a couple questions I want you to ask yourself, and you can either type them in the chat box, or if you want to join us and verbally kind of, use me, share with everyone else, feel free. But here's a couple questions. what did you love the most about our call today? So answer that question for me. What did you love the most about our call today? What is a takeaway from today? What's something that you're going to implement today? A takeaway. Feel free to type those in the chat box. What did you love? What's a takeaway? And then if you have a question that you want us to answer. All right, cool. 5 pillars of success, new economy. I love that. Cool. Change identity, master the mundane. All right. Back to basics. That's awesome. You guys, 5 pillars. Look at that. I love the smart thinking. Cool. Look at all that stuff, you guys. What's so cool is that, you know, a lot of you picked up on different things. And of course, some of you picked some of the same ones. Law of the lid. Good, good, good. Hey, the reason why I asked the questions, you guys, and I want you to type it in there. Remember something I said earlier, right? Some things aren't necessarily taught, they're caught, right? So you might have caught something that someone else didn't, and someone else might have caught something that you didn't. So by you sharing it here, it's like, oh, wow, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right, mindset.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Cool, cool. All right. So here's the thing, you guys. We want to give, part of this is we wanted to make this interactive too, right? So we want to give you guys an opportunity to either come on and just verbally share, maybe raise your hand so we can see who would like to share what you loved about the meeting, a takeaway from the meeting, or if you have a question, okay, that we can discuss.
Raise your hand in the reaction.
Yeah, on the very bottom there of the, you'll see next to breakout room, let's see, it says reactions. If you open that up, there's a place for you to raise your hand. Okay.
Looks like Penny's got
All
his
right.
raised.
All right, Penny, go ahead and unmute yourself. And
Hi, everybody.
hi, Penny.
Hi.
So I attended the abundance workshop, and it has changed my life. Louisa has helped me with a shift in myself, and it just opened up so much more that I am able to grasp and implement into my own life, and things are speeding along. And the real big thing that came to me today was the speed of implementation, and that's really spoke to me. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Penny, for sharing. Give it up for Penny. That's awesome. Speed of implementation. Yeah, and you know, it's funny, we don't, the cool thing is I get to see Penny periodically in networking at Ignite You, and man, I'll tell you what, like, I just love getting hugs from you, Penny. Appreciate you, you know, coming up and give me a hug and blessing me that way. So, all right. Who else wants to share? Anyone want to raise their hand and share what they love? Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, hi, Alan. I just wanted to share that when Haley and I started our company a little over 3 years ago, we knew it would be difficult, but man, we underestimated that. And having a coach, Alan, having you there from the beginning, going through the entire journey for us, the best thing I guess the best impact that had on me was that when I needed to vent, when I needed to bounce something off of somebody, when I needed somebody to chat with about something I was struggling with, you were that person. You know, I would have loved to call my best friend. I would have loved to call my mom, but they're not in it with me. And you working through my business with me kind of have an idea of exactly what I'm going through. It's just so easy to call you and talk through it, right? So having you as a coach, looking at my situation from a bird's eye view, not just tunnel vision of what's right in front of me, that was big for me.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike, for sharing. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's awesome to see you know, Mike, when we first started working together, how many employees do you have and how many do you have now?
It was just Haley and I when we first started, and now we're a total team up to 18.
Nice, 18 employees. Isn't that awesome, you guys? Crushing it. Yep. Cool. Hey, Haley, I know maybe, do you mind me putting you on the spot? I would love for you to share, because, you know, just being Mike's.
You gotta mute yourself, Mike. Okay. You're gonna put me on the spot. You know how much I love being put on the spot, Alan.
I know, sorry.
What specifically do you want to hear
Yeah,
about?
so Haley, where were you when you first started the company, and where are you now?
Oh, good grief. Okay, so when we first started our company, I had just come off of a 7-year stint of being a stay-at-home mom. And really, I only went into business because Mike had a dream of starting a business. And so I was like, it's a good time. You know, both the kids are going to be full-time in school. I was going to be looking for a job anyways once that happened. So I kind of just decided, you know, I'd jump on in and support him and we'd go do this thing together. Well, let's see, that was November of 2019. So we all know what happened a few months after that. The kids were suddenly home full-time again. So it was this big balancing act of not only being a business owner and having to learn all these new things that, you know, I don't have any background in the construction company. For those of you who don't know what we do, we run a solar and electrical contracting company. One of our other owners, Kevin, is actually on this call too. So it's pretty cool to have him here. But yeah, just no experience in the industry. I guess the only reason I got into business, like I said, was to support my husband with his vision. So none of it was really mine, or I didn't take much ownership of what we had and what our vision for our company actually was. It's kind of just like, well, I'm here to support him. Like, this is his dream. And working with Alan, just, I don't even know, like there was just this shift in mentality of it being Mike's dream and Mike's company to it being our dream and our company, and implementing everything that Alan taught really just helped me make a shift of I'm important to how this company operates on a daily basis. The things that I say matter, what my perspective on every situation we have matters. And it's really made a big difference in not only how I interact with business and our employees and our partners, but how I interact with people in everyday life just as a person and a mom. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Give it up for Haley. That's so good. Thank you, Haley. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing, you guys, right? We're working, it's not any one thing. It's really, there's those 5 pillars: mindset, vision, purpose, right? Community, and mentorship. And when you attack it from all those angles like that, that's what gets everyone on that accelerated path, right? So cool. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I'd love for other people to share. What do they love the most about what they got out of this training today? And, you know, part of why I want you to share, you guys, remember, it may not be about you, right? Maybe somebody else is going to glean off of what you're sharing, okay? Because at the end of the day, they might go, oh man, I didn't think of it that way, okay? So who else would either raise your hand, or I'd love for you to come on board. Don't be bashful. This is an involvement exercise. And at the end of it all,
Is that JD?
all right, you know, I'm gonna, JD, I know you want to share. Come on, JD.
Oh man, I heard you back there, Louisa. Well, as always, I adore both of you guys, and I'm so thankful for everything that we bring to every training that I've ever been blessed enough to be able to be a part of. So thank you. Today, the thing that I really needed to hear was that I need to refine my vision again. You know, when you're asking vision, I sat there and I was like, okay, next 2 to 3 years, and I started going through and I was like, wait, we've been checking goals off the list, but I haven't been refining it and continuing to move forward with going, okay, what's next? And, you know, you get so busy, or I get so busy just like doing the things that I'm doing. But it was a fantastic reminder to go, okay, keep that vision evolving, keep doing the next steps. And then also the reminder of it's not always about me, you know, who am I doing it for? And, you know, my kids, and just like, what's the impact of doing it right? And what's the impact of not? And I just love that reminder. So thank you very much.
That's awesome. That's awesome, right? Refining your vision. Sometimes we got to continue to refine it, because that's when we get that plateau. We refine it. And when we get to that plateau, guess what ends up happening next, right? So by refining that vision and getting it updated, it's a continual journey, right? We never necessarily arrive per se, but we're constantly refining and that. So man, I love that share, JD. That's a good one. That's why it's important to get on things like this to get back to center, right? Get back to true north so that we can take ourselves to that next level. All right, Nicole, I believe, raised her hand. Nicole, where are you? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I was just gonna say that as much as I talk about repetition and consistency with my clients, I needed to hear that today. So thank you for that.
That's awesome. What specifically about that? What got you going? Man, I'm glad I heard that.
Well,
today.
ironically, I am working on recreating my my pitch book, and I needed to work on the consistency of what my presentations look like, and having that repetition and consistency of having the same format and the same basic content, customized only for the custom proposal, helps with delivery and confidence and all that fun stuff. So your timing was just perfect for that.
Sweet. I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
All right. All right. Hey, so give it up for both JD and Nicole in the chat box, will ya? That's awesome. Good job, you guys. All right. Who else would like to share? Don't be bashful, you guys. I want, if you want to, two people raise their hands. Who's that?
Drew and Jill.
Okay, let's start with Drew, and then we'll go to Jill.
Thanks, Alan. Can you hear me okay, first of all?
Yes.
Perfect. So inspiring to hear that you started in insurance. That is the industry that I am in as well. And so everything that you said had at least some value, but some of the main key takeaways, I hear a lot of these same types of things all the time, but different, I guess, seasons, so to speak, of my own personal growth, my own business journey, and those things, they definitely, hit differently at different times. And so despite having heard some of these concepts before, they certainly resonate differently, at this stage in my career versus when I was brand new. I'm coming up on my year anniversary in February here, being in with Farmers Insurance. And so some of the big things, the 80-20 rule turning into the 90-10 rule, I can definitely see that coming. I had never heard of the lid concept before. I definitely want to dig into that a little bit more as far as thinking, if my perception of my potential is capped at a 6, then I'm only going to attract 6s or lower. I had never thought about it that way before, but why would a 10 follow a 6? That doesn't make any sense. So I have to, and that goes back to, I am my best investment. I need to be focusing on myself and what I can do better in order to attract those more successful people as well, both in terms of who I might want to coach and who I might want to buy from me. So that was huge. And then I would say that one of my biggest struggles is with time management. So reshifting that identity that I identify as somebody who has poor time management, implementing the SMART goals and thinking of myself as somebody that maybe used to struggle with time management, or I don't struggle with time management. Being able to implement these things to move that in a better direction and have the mindset that I don't have to be that person. Just because I've had those issues in the past doesn't mean that I have to continue to be that person moving forward. And if I continue to identify as somebody that has time management issues, I will probably continue to have time management issues.
Right.
So again, a lot of these concepts I had heard either on some level or have even been parts of other seminars discussing them. Hearing some of these things here today has certainly, like you said just a minute ago, point me back to true north and get me just the reminder that you can constantly grow. And no matter where you were or what you might not have gotten done yesterday that you wanted to get done, today is a new day and you can always improve. So
I love it. I love it. Drew, where's your agency at?
I am in Rapid City, South Dakota, out here with Sarah Younger. She's who invited me. So yes.
Yeah, way to go, Drew. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
All right.
Thanks
Hey,
to Sarah for inviting.
yeah, thank you, Sarah. For those of you who don't know, Sarah and I go way back, and Louisa, she was part of our original networking in Olympia many moons ago. And yeah, she's one of the best for sure. So thank you, Sarah, for inviting people to come. And then of course, Drew, for being here. Hey, one thing, Drew, that I want to say, and this is for all of you, right? Yeah, give it up for Drew. That was an awesome share. So one thing, a word choice that I make that's different is instead of using the word goal, I ask myself, what am I committed to, right? So what am I committed to instead of using the word goal? Because many times goals can be kind of nebulous. We hit them, we miss them, whatever. But what am I absolutely 100% committed to doing? Okay, so going back to the workout analogy, so my commitment is 2 times a week or more. I know I can do it. So because I know I can do it, it just becomes a part of my life. Here's the irony that most times I'm working out 3, 4, 5 times a week. Okay, but 2 is my commitment. My stretch is 4. 2 is a commitment, stretch is 4. So that's kind of how I work things out to get myself into action. Because otherwise, if I if I just focus on my 4 and there's weeks that I don't do it, then all of a sudden 4 turns into nothing. And then nothing happens one week, then the next week, and the next week, and next thing you know, it's been a month and I haven't worked out at all because it's either all or nothing. So that's why I use the word commitment to get myself into action. So
that makes perfect sense. You can't, if you meet, sometimes goals are tricky because once you meet them, then it's like, well, what now?
What now?
Commitment is a constant.
It's a constant. Yep.
That makes
so
sense.
What am I committed to? And then, okay, what's a stretch? And that would be a goal, right? Here's what I'm committed to. Here's my stretch, right? So some of you know this, if you've worked with me, Louisa and I use what we call the shave your eyebrow rule or the shave your head rule. So for guys, it's the shave your eyebrow rule. For girls and women, it's the shave your head rule, okay? And so, whenever I talk to someone, I'll ask them, I'll go, hey, how committed are you to what you just said you were gonna do? And you'll say, oh, I'm 100% committed. I'm gonna do this, Alan. Okay, you're 100% committed. Yes, I am. Would you shave your eyebrows or shave your head if you don't do that? Oh, I'm not shaving my eyebrows on. No way. Are you kidding me? Right? I'm not doing that. Okay. Well, then are you 100% committed to doing what you just said you're going to do? Because if you're 100% committed to doing what you just said you're going to do, then shaving your eyebrows or shaving your head is a non-issue because you're going to do it. That's the level of commitment that you want when you do this, you guys. Okay. Mike, Alan made me do, I didn't make you do 100 push-ups, Mike. You said you were going to do 100 push-ups. So that was one of the things, right? One time I asked Mike, are you committed? Oh, I'm committed. And he said, okay. I said, hey, okay, so what's the repercussion? So it wasn't to shave your eyebrows or shave your head, but in his case, it was 100 push-ups. And I actually gave him the opportunity. I said, hey, Mike, you sure 100? What if we just did 10? And he's like, no, man, I could do 10, no problem, Alan. Okay, what about 50? No, I want to do 100. I said, okay, I'm giving. And so he did the 100. He didn't do what he said he was going to do, did that. But here's the thing, you guys, right? It reshaped how he started to think about his commitments. Like, I'm not doing 100 push-ups again. No way. Okay. So instead of shave your head or shave your eyebrow, the penalty could be, you know what, you're going to donate $100 to a nonprofit that you can't stand. Right? And you tell someone, look, if I don't do this, I'm going to donate $100 to a nonprofit that I hate. Right? And guess what? You're not going to want to write that check. So guess what? You're going to do it. Otherwise, you're writing the check and honoring your word. Right? Or maybe it's, doing something that you hate to do. Like, for instance, like with me, I hate cleaning the toilets. Right? So I haven't cleaned the toilets in years. So if Louisa wants to get a commitment out of me, she goes, okay, if you don't do it, you're cleaning the toilets for a month. I'm like, okay, right? So that means I got to do it or I got to clean the toilets. And guys, there is no way I'm cleaning the toilets. None. So guess what? I'm going to honor my word. I'm going to do what I committed to do. Does that make sense? All right, good one. Okay. I know you own an awesome company. I love it. Okay. Let's see who else. There was Jill. Jill, you wanted to share. Go ahead, Jill.
Yeah, well, thank you. So you're speaking about commitment, and that's something that resonates so much with me. I always say DCD, decide, commit, and do. And that's something that I live by. So totally being committed to what we're going to do is essential for success. So one of the things that I also resonated with is pivoting. And since starting my brand in 2019, I've had to pivot multiple times and going through another pivot now, trying to figure out how am I going to rebrand New You Cooking to be able to serve more people. And just being reminded that it's not about me, it's about how to be of service to all people, and just being present to that and being reminded to figure out who am I, what am I doing, and doing everything I need to do to make that happen. So I really enjoyed this coaching call of how interactive it's been, and it's been great energy. So thanks everybody for participating.
Yeah. Hey, type in the chat box, give it up for both Drew and Jill for the shares, you guys. Good job. I love it. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Yeah. Okay. Who else would like to share? That'd be awesome if you wouldn't mind sharing. Anyone else? We are doing pretty good. We're at 2:35. We'll probably be 10 more minutes, you guys, and then we'll wrap it up. So any other questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to raise your hand, and we'd love to hear from you. Anything else?
Pillars, I love it.
All right. Okay. We good? All right, last chance. So, all right, go ahead, Marina.
Hello. Yeah, so one thing that really got to me was when you said about the company being the vehicle to live the life I want to live. And it's something that I needed to be reminded. Just like Haley, I kind of stepped in this business with my husband to achieve kind of like his dream. And I'm still kind of like understanding that new role that I have. I'm not from the United States, I'm from Brazil. So my whole family is very, very far away. So I feel like this business is the flexibility I need to be able to see them more often. And I am from a completely different industry. I'm in the film industry, and I've been in the industry for like over 10 years, and it's my passion. It's something that I will never kind of let go. So I'm always involved, but it's kind of hard for me to just have like a full-time job, not in this industry that I've been, working on for forever. So it was very important to hear you say about the company being the vehicle, because my family is very important to me.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to just like see them whenever I want, or be able to plan and not having like just jumping from show to show or movie to movie and not actually having time to just see them.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Marina, for sharing. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes we look at quick story, Marina, when I was, before I got into the insurance business, when I was 21, I had two jobs. I was basically a professional student, but I also bartended at a nice upscale Mexican bar as one job. And then the other job I had was I was a steam cleaner. And, I don't know if you've ever know what a steam cleaner does, but steam cleaners clean flues in restaurants, and it's dirty work, all the grease, especially if you went into a Chinese restaurant, right? I mean, that grease and I would come out of that, my job feeling like smelling bad, looking ugly, and I hated that job. I didn't like it. But here's the thing, you guys, I was the best darn steam cleaner that guy ever had. I was the best at it. You know why? Because it was my vehicle to get me where I wanted to go. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So I showed up and I gave 110% for that owner, even though I didn't like the job. But guess what? I focused on doing the job, right? I remember my dad, I just can hear my dad in my head going, you know what? Get over it. There's a term in Japanese called ganbaru. Ganbaru means get over it, move on, right? And so that's where my attitude, right? Yeah, I was definitely committed, Jill, for sure. and so that's the thing, right? And then I remember giving my 2 weeks notice to him and saying, hey, I'm gonna give up this job. I'm gonna go into the insurance business. And when he found out it was commission only, he like couldn't believe it. He's like, you're gonna do commission only? He goes, hey, I'll increase your pay. I can't remember what he was paying me at the time. I think it was 20 bucks an hour. This is, 35 years ago, right? Or a little longer. And I'm like, no, it's not the money, man. I just gotta, this is the vehicle that's gonna get me where I need to go. And that was a vehicle for the temporary. And he says, you're the best steam cleaner I've ever had. You're the best employee I've ever had. And when I was doing the job, I never thought of it that way, but it's because of how I showed up. And that's what transferred to my success in the insurance business and other things. So understanding that, hey, that was a vehicle for that time to get me to the next spot. And then now the insurance business was my vehicle to get me to a point where I could become a teacher and a coach. And guess what? I'm a teacher and a coach, but now in a different way, right? So, all right. Who else, you guys? Any other thoughts or comments? Did anyone else raise their hand? Just want to make sure I got everyone on here. I'll give you some parting thoughts before we wrap it up here. Cool. All right. Anyone else? Go ahead.
So
Judy, go ahead.
I
Sarah?
raised my hand. Just the reestablishing of also exactly what your goals, so that you can apply those 5 pillars. I have a tendency to, okay, these are my goals. I don't always write them down. And then I find that I put other things ahead of them that come up that I think are more important. One of mine is I think it was Haley got involved in the business they're in because it was her husband's, and that was his dream. The business industry that I'm in now was not one that I ever thought. Those that are in the Pacific Northwest, I had no idea what PDR is, paintless dent repair. Who knew in a million years these little pieces of ice that come out of the sky will damage a car? Well, come into Rapid City and those pieces of ice are like that big with little spikes. And my husband had been doing it for 25 years. And so to support him and try to be what the real goal is the best wife and the best partner, and how can I make our lives better? Well, that's the goal. And so just this whole reaffirming of getting back on track and how to fine tune those for the goals that I have. And then through those, one of mine is always, fitness and then being part of the community and being a part of what's going on. So anyway, thanks, Alan, for putting this on and making it available for online. So those of us out here that have moved across country could participate.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks, sir. Thanks for giving it up for Sarah. Thanks for the share. Yeah. And Jill, thanks for the share on the book recommendation. Yeah, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. That's a good book. So that's awesome. Yeah. So just, I guess the thing I want to leave you with, is there anyone else that wants to share? Okay. All right. Hey, the thing I want to leave you with today, you guys, just remember, it's the key is taking what you've got from here. Hopefully you took some notes. Just take one thing and just start implementing it. Okay. One thing, get yourself into action. And remember it's the 5 pillars. The more pillars you have up, the stronger the foundation, right? Only one pillar, it's probably going to topple. But if you got 2 pillars, it's going to be a little more stable. 3 pillars, 4, all 5 pillars on top, you're going to be unstoppable. And that's why, I love vision boards, but vision boards by themselves don't work, you guys, because, it's just one thing, right? Having a vision, you've got to couple it with the others and create that process to really, take your business and life to that next level, right? So mindset, right? Mindset, vision, right? Purpose, community, and getting that coaching, getting that mentorship. All 5 of those things are what's going to take you to that next level. So yeah, I would love for you to stay connected, get involved in our private Facebook group, and for those of you who want to reach out to me, shoot me a text. I'm going to type my number in the chat box real quick. Here we go. And feel free to shoot me a text. I'd love to stay connected with you some way. And yeah, life is a journey. At my, the words of my dad, let's just finish with this, you guys. The words of my dad, right? My success is my responsibility, right? Right. So let's just finish with that. Type that in the chat box. My success is my responsibility. Okay. Just remember that. And so say it with me one last time, guys. My success is my responsibility. All right, you guys. God bless you all. Have an awesome weekend. And yep. AccelerateGrowthCommunity.com and 2:45. We finished 15 minutes early. Have an awesome weekend. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
Oh, shut it off. Perfect. Thank you.
Great job, Alan.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.